It only, I can pin it so it's only showing me, if that makes you guys feel more comfortable.
Yeah, that works better too for the recording.
See, Michelle, you're already helping me.
Because otherwise when people talk, it like flips back and forth
Right,
between
yeah,
like
yeah,
which.
yeah. That is a very good point.
Yeah.
So, Kelsey had requested lower back. Is there anything in particular that you want to add?
No, that I would second that.
Okay, cool. So, let's go ahead and start lying down. I've been enjoying the lying down start recently. And we'll go ahead and come into a reclined goddess pose. So we're going to take our soles of our feet together, the knees are open, and the arms can kind of rest wherever you like. They can be on the belly or the hips, they can be out to the sides or overhead. But the important thing is that we want to feel that the shoulder blades are not scrunched up towards the ears. So you can take a second to either kind of move your head a little bit away from the shoulders, or you can kind of press the back of your head down into the floor, lift the shoulder blades off the floor, and just kind of scoot them down a bit before carefully relaxing back down. So the lower back muscles and the muscles that control hip movement are all kind of connected. They all connect at the same bony juncture. And so oftentimes when the lower back is tight, it's important to also work on hip openers as well. Let's go ahead and invert our legs, taking the feet nice and wide, drawing the knees in towards each other. And the arms can either stay where they are, or you can switch them to one of the other positions that I'd mentioned. And from here, if you don't have your arms out to the sides, go ahead and take the arms out to the sides so that the wrists are in line with the shoulders. And we'll just go ahead and rotate just the right knee out. The left knee will fall inwards. The legs are still fairly widely spaced apart. We're going to go ahead and turn our head to turn towards the left. So we're in this kind of open stance rotation. The right leg is rotating out, the left leg is rotating in. And then we'll carefully, keeping the feet in the same spot, roll both legs over the other way and then turn the head to face the opposite direction. And then go ahead and find your soles of your feet back onto the floor. And we'll walk our feet back onto our mat and take our hands back onto the mat as well. So I'm pressing down lightly into my hands. The arms are straight and my feet are on the floor. Another important way to help promote opening of the lower back is to work on strengthening the abdominals. So we're going to go ahead and scoot our feet forward just a little bit. And we're going to think about keeping our hips and our shoulders firmly planted down into the ground. As we exhale, we'll lift just the right leg off the floor, maintaining a bent knee. And you want to lift it up until the knee is right over the hip and your shin is parallel to the floor. Then as you exhale, go ahead and slowly lower that right foot down. And then we'll switch sides. On an exhalation, the left leg comes up. We'll hold here on our inhalation, and on our exhalation, we'll lower that left leg back down. So switching from side to side, increasing the speed just a little bit. We'll exhale to lift the right leg and inhale to lower it down. Exhale to lift the left leg and inhale to lower it down. Again, you only want to lift it up high enough so that the knee is right on top of the hip and so that the shin is parallel to the ground. And sometimes I take my fingertips and I just kind of lightly touch my stomach for a moment to make sure that I'm really activating my abdominal muscles to support my torso in lifting the leg. We could easily do this movement without the proper abdominal activation. And now the next time that the right leg comes up, we're going to keep the right leg off the floor and switch to a different movement. So from this 90-degree angle shape, on an inhalation, we'll extend the right leg out. So it's making a 45-degree line. And then as we exhale, we'll pull the knee back in right over the hip. Inhale to lengthen out and exhale to pull in. And again, you can use your fingertips to just lightly check in. I'm just checking in on my right obliques to make sure that they're really engaged. We'll do about 6 repetitions. You should have maybe 1 more to go. And after you've extended the leg, keep it out where it is. And you're just going to draw some little circles with your toes, trying not to let the left knee move around at all. You're going to draw 6 circles. And then you'll reverse your circles for 6, 5, 4, 3. Try to keep the rest of the body very still. 1 more time, and then we pull the knee back in, find that alignment from knee to hip, and lower the right foot down slowly. Let's do that on the other side. The left leg comes up. On an inhalation, it extends. And on an exhalation, it bends for 6. You should be about halfway through. And on the last one, we press out and hold, circling 6. Right knee stays very still. And then reversing circle 6. When you've finished, bend the knee, find that knee over hip alignment, and slowly lower the left foot down. From there, we'll scoot the feet a little closer in towards our seat, and then we'll press down into the hands and the feet. We'll lift the hips up high, and we're just focusing on opening the hip joint rather than arching the back, but almost feel like your lumbar spine, your lower back is still kind of in a straight line rather than a traditional yoga wheel where we're trying to arch the spine as much as we can. So my spine almost feels like a check mark. The head and the upper spine are like the little line, and then my mid and lower spine are that longer line. When you roll down on an exhalation, try to articulate through the bones in your spine as much as you can. And then let's repeat that movement a little bit more dynamically. So as we exhale, we'll lift the seat, feel the belly pulling in. And as you exhale, you'll lower the seat for 6, exhaling to lift. And inhaling to lower for 5. So when we do this in a Pilates style, it's really much more about muscular activation and supporting that natural shape of the spine in the lower portion of the back, rather than trying to kind of open everything up and create a nice big arch. So you want to feel like your glutes are engaged, your abdominal muscles are engaged. You should have about 2 repetitions remaining. And again, it's very easy to do these movements without working. You have to find this neuromuscular connection and turn on the right musculature. Okay, let's go ahead and take both knees in towards the chest. So we're going to feel a nice compression in the hip socket when we pull those knees in. You might even find that your tailbone is a little bit lifting off the floor. And then we're going to root the tailbone back down into the floor so the knees kind of move a little bit away from my center. And we'll just move back and forth between those 2 points where the knees are in as far as they can go, and then where the tailbone is down, so relatively the knees kind of move away from the body. So it's like a little teeny tiny little curling of the lower back. And then the next time your knees come in, we'll keep them there and we'll rock a bit from side to side. And I want you to rock as far as you can without falling over onto the side of the body, and really try to press down into that musculature in your lower and your middle back. So we're using the weight of our own body to create some release there. During the lockdown, I got really good at fixing things for myself because I wasn't getting, massage work or acupuncture or anything like that. And let's now switch to a circular movement with the knees. So both knees go in the same direction. I feel the weight of the body moving around my pelvis and my lower back. And then I'll go ahead and reverse the direction of the circle. From here, guys, go ahead and take both knees over towards the right, pressing the knees down with the right hand, turning your head towards the left and opening your left arm. So you're gazing past the left hand. And we'll take a few nice deep breaths here. We want to think about how the left shoulder and the left hip want to move away from one another. And then when you're ready, go ahead and draw the knees back through center and over the other way. Okay, drawing the legs back in towards center and finding that 90-degree angle shape that we were using before with one leg. So already I should feel that my abdominal muscles are working to support the positioning of the legs. So same movement as we did before. We're going to inhale, both legs extend out and find that 45-degree line. Exhale, both knees bend, knees right over hips. Inhale to extend, and exhale to bend. This time we're going to do a total of 8 repetitions. You have about 3 more. And on the third one, when you go out, you'll hold that position. And we'll add in, rather than circles, a really small opening and closing of the legs. We're going to open and close for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. The knees pull in towards the chest. And we'll take our right foot crossed over our left knee. Thread the right arm in between the legs and interlace our hands around the left knee, pulling the legs in towards our center, trying to have as much of a flat spine as we can, not letting the shoulders hike up towards the ears. And then if you like, you can also add in a little bit of a side-to-side movement here, but you're welcome to just stay still if that feels like that's enough. And then we'll go ahead and take that right leg all the way down onto the floor. And we'll extend our left leg straight up towards the ceiling. So ideally the leg is straight and we're keeping our left hip firmly down on the floor. So you don't want to hike up the leg for the sake of making it higher and displace the hips being rooted down. The arms are very slightly out to the side. And we're going to do some larger leg circles. So we're going to take our left leg out to the side without lifting the right hip off the floor. We circle the left leg down. And then we draw it up through the midline of the body. We're going to do a total of 6 repetitions. Again, the right hip is very stable into the floor. Take your time. The nice thing about starting yoga practice with some Pilates work is it makes the body really nice and warm. And then when we move into the yoga part of our practice, it's a little easier to get through all of those positions. When you finished your 6, guys, we're going to reverse that. So the left leg goes down, out to the side. Again, keep that right hip very stable. Draw the left leg into the midline of the body and then back down. We're doing a total of 6. Both shoulders and both hips are very stable. And pressing down evenly into the ground. You should have maybe 2 repetitions to go. And when you've finished your last one, you're going to bend the left knee in towards the chest, give it a nice squeeze in. So we're creating a compression in the joints on that left side. And then we'll move the knee a bit from side to side before taking it all the way over to the right and into a single leg rotation. The left arm opens. I'm turning my head towards the left. And again, while we're here, the left shoulder and hip move away from one another. So we have this nice cross stretch along that left side of the torso. Rotational movements are also really important for addressing lower back pain or discomfort. Whenever you're ready to, guys, find your way onto your back. Both knees are bent with the soles of the feet off the floor. We take the feet off the floor. And now we have our left foot crossed over our right knee. And we interlace our hands around the right leg to pull in and down. If you like, if you did so on the other side, you can rock a bit from side to side. And then whenever you're ready to do so, the left leg extends all the way down onto the floor. The right leg extends up towards the ceiling. My arms are just slightly out to the side. So again, left hip is very stable into the ground. The right leg moves out to the side, circles down and up through the center. We're doing a total of 6 repetitions. I'm very focused on that left side of the body, trying not to let it come up off the floor. You should have about 2 remaining to make 6. And when you finished your 6, when your leg is up at the top, we reverse, drawing it back down, around, and up. Should have about maybe 1 repetition left. And when you finished that, you may bend the right knee, pulling it in towards the chest. Again, a nice firm squeeze, creating a compression in that joint and moving the knee from side to side. When you're ready, right knee pulls across towards the left, right arm opens, and we find this nice space between the right shoulder and the right hip. Let's find our way onto our back, bending the knees and bringing the soles of the feet to the floor. So we've just done a bunch of exercises where we don't lift the head, but the abdominal muscles are still working. Let's go ahead and add in a Pilates head float. So we're taking our hands interlaced behind our head. We want to lift the elbows a little bit off the floor. There's a space between your chin and your chest currently, and I want you to maintain that space between the chin and the chest as you exhale to lift your head and your shoulder blades off the floor. And then when you inhale, you'll slowly release back down. So it's easy to do this movement without activating the proper musculature. Hopefully After doing all of those lower body abdominal movements, we can find the right musculature that we need to do these head floats properly. So as we exhale, the belly pulls in to draw the head and the shoulder blades up. And you probably can hear this little bit of shakiness in my voice because I'm really, really focused on drawing those abdominal muscles in and up before I lift. So I'm making this a challenging movement. I could easily do it without activating my target muscles, but if I keep them in my mind, I kind of remember using them when I was doing those other exercises. It's pretty easy to activate what our target muscles are. Let's do one more of these. And then we'll go ahead and take the hands out from underneath the head. We'll scoot our feet forward a little bit so that it's easy for us to roll up to sit. So we're going to take our arms straight up towards the ceiling. I'm not even moving my body yet, but I'm immediately still going to draw the abdominal muscles in and up. On an inhalation, I'm going to lift my arms just a little bit back, not quite overhead, but maybe halfway there. And then on an exhalation, I'm going to reach my fingertips forward, and I'm going to use that momentum to draw myself all the way up to sit, making a nice straight line through the spine. As I inhale, I'll sit up even taller here. And then as I exhale, I'll pull the belly in. There's a little bit of a curvature through the spine as I slowly roll down onto my mat again. Inhale to lift the arms back just a bit. Exhale to reach the fingertips forward and draw up to sit. Inhale, sit up tall. Exhale, pull the belly in. Slow roll down through the spine. Exhale, arms reach slightly back, or inhale rather. Exhale, now reach arms forward and come up to sit. Inhale, sit up tall. And exhale, pull the belly in to roll down. Take your time, guys. We're going to do about 3 more of these. Move at your own pace. Just remember, you're always exhaling when you come up to sit. And you're always exhaling when you roll back down onto your mat. So this next one should be the last one. When you come up, we'll stay up. We'll draw the soles of the feet together, bringing the knees out to the sides. We'll sit up tall, spine. And on an exhalation, we'll draw ourselves forward. So when we move forward, we want to try to maintain a nice straight spine until you hit your limit in your range of motion. And then once you've done that, you can kind of let the head relax down and the shoulders relax as well. We want to keep them relaxing down towards the hips rather than allowing them to creep up towards the ears. On an inhalation, we'll sit up tall. So you guys can stay facing the direction that you're in. I'm going to turn from time to time so people can see a little more easily. The arms will come out to the sides, palms will face out. And then we'll take our right hand down over onto that right side and reach the left arm over. I'm trying to create as much space here along the left side of my torso. I inhale up through the center. I exhale over the other way. So obviously you should feel a stretch along the side of the body. Let's now think about when we come up, can we engage the muscles on the right side of the stomach to help draw ourselves upright? Likewise, on the opposite side, when we come up, can we use the left side of the stomach muscles to help draw us upright? So kind of finding this duality between stretching and strengthening, which a lot of times in yoga, we don't talk about the strengthening part of it, which I find very strange. And I didn't even really start thinking about that much until I also became a Pilates instructor. So it's a duality of mobility and stability that we're focusing on. Let's do one more on each side. And then we can go ahead and relax the arms. We'll send our feet around towards our feet and come into child's pose. And we'll do wide stance child's pose today. So the toes are touching. The knees are wide enough just so that your torso fits. And then the arms are extended out in front of you. So you should be able to get your forehead and or nose on the floor. The arms are reaching forward in between the legs, the torso rests. The hips may not be touching your heels, that's okay, as long as there's this kind of weightedness feeling in your pelvis. Alrighty, so we're gonna go ahead and lift our feet off the floor. We'll bring the knees back underneath the hips, and I have my hands right underneath my shoulders with my toes tucked under. So working a little bit more on activating the front of the body to support the back of the body. We'll walk our hands forward some. And for those that entered a little late today, our focus is releasing tension in the lower back. So I've walked my hands forward and I've shifted my pelvis forward and down so that my shoulders and my wrists are in line again, but I have a diagonal line from my head to my knees. The elbow pits, the inner elbows are facing forward. And as I exhale, the elbows will go straight down, or straight back rather, as I lower down. On an inhalation, I'll press into the hands and maintain that straight spine, drawing myself back up. Then as I exhale, the next exhalation, you're gonna send your feet back towards your heels, keeping the toes tucked under. So it's kind of like child's pose, except I have parallel legs and the toes are not pointed. And we're going to fuse all of these movements together. So as we inhale, we come up onto all fours. We find that diagonal line from head to knees. And as we exhale, we lower down in one strong piece. Inhale to come back up. Exhale to send your feet back towards your heels. Inhaling onto all fours, find that diagonal line. Exhaling down onto your mat with control. Inhaling to come back up. Exhaling to go back with the feet. And just take your time, guys. Let's do about 5 more repetitions. You're always exhaling when the feet goes back towards your heels. And you're always exhaling when you lower the body down onto your mat. You should have maybe 2 or 3 repetitions remaining. And when you finish your last one, we'll come into child's pose again, and we'll do a variation of that pose. So for my child's pose variation, I'll do thread the needle. The toes point again, the big toes are touching. I draw my feet back towards my heels, but this time before my feet goes all the way back, I take my right arm and I thread it underneath my left arm. So my right palm is facing upwards. My left palm is pressing down into the mat. Now, before I switch to the other side, I'm gonna add in one more movement. So I'm gonna press into my left hand. I'm gonna start to lift my feet off the floor, and I'm gonna take that right arm and unthread it, reaching it out to the right and up and drawing my hips forward. Then as I exhale, I'm gonna thread back through to where I was. And I can tuck my toes under here to help with that back and forth transition. So I can kind of propel myself forward, out, and up, pressing into the balls of the feet. I always want to thread through on an exhalation and open on an inhalation. And you might feel when you come into this open stance bit that the hips aren't totally open, or totally even rather. That's okay. Let's do one more of this open and reach. And then from there, you'll come back to having both hands on your mat. And we'll do our thread the needle on the other side. So the toes point. I send my feet back towards my heels. My left arm goes underneath my right. And I'm holding here, taking that rest before moving into the dynamic movement part of the exercise. When you're ready, start to press a bit into the right hand to draw the seat off the heels. The left arm is going to open, the torso opens towards the left, my hips shift forward. Tuck those toes under, and as you exhale, thread the needle again. Left arm reaches through, seat goes back. Inhale to open and reach. And exhale to close and shift back. Do about 3 more of these at your own pace. We don't all have to be moving at the same time. And then the next time we open, we'll stay there. Just briefly before finding our way onto our hands and our knees. And then from there, we'll come into our first downward facing dog. So we've done a lot of preparatory movements. This dog pose should feel very accessible. Hopefully you feel like your shoulders are a little bit more open, which will result in your torso being able to kind of move forward a little bit more towards your legs. Ideally, the lower body also feels a bit more open, so perhaps your heels are drawn towards the floor a little more than usual. Let's, on an inhalation, lift both of our heels up high. And I want you to think about pulling your belly button back towards your spine and just shifting your body weight forward a teeny tiny bit until you feel your abs engaged. So it's almost kind of like a pulled in version of downward facing dog. I feel like my shoulders are working to maintain this positioning of shoulders over wrist. And then from here, as I exhale, I'll send the seat back again, releasing my heels. So I'm moving back and forth, inhaling to lift the heels, pull the belly in and shift forward, and exhaling to pull back into downward facing dog. Let's do that 3 more times, inhaling and exhaling. Inhaling and exhaling. And then go ahead and bend one knee, sending the opposite heel down towards the floor. Holding here rather than switching from side to side, taking a few deep breaths in and out. And then when you're ready, switching sides. At your own pace, begin to walk your feet forward towards the front of your mat. So we're in a standing forward bend. The feet are at least hip distance apart. They can go up to shoulder distance apart. You're going to grab a hold of your elbows with your hands. The whole body is hanging down, and we're just embracing that weightedness in the torso to create an opening through the spine, through the muscles in the lower parts of the legs. We'll start to shift our body weight a bit from one side to the other, embracing this kind of swinging motion. And then we'll start to shift our body weight a bit from the toes to the heels. Let the arms dangle down. Bend the knees a little bit more, and on an inhalation, think about stacking the vertebrae one on top of the other to draw yourself upright. And then once you're here, we'll do a little quadricep stretch just to give our wrists and our shoulders as well a little bit of a break before we begin our sun salutation. So I'm going to bend my right knee. I'm sending my seat back, or my foot back towards my seat, And I'm pulling that right foot in, either using just the right hand or both hands. And it's important, we don't want to arch here. We want to maintain that abdominal activation as we pull the foot in. When you're ready to, you may release the foot and switch over to the other side. Again, the abdominals are engaged. I'm not sticking my rib cage out or moving my chest forward. And then we'll go ahead and release that other leg. So moving on to our sun salutations, adding a few things in here. These are all movements that we've done before, so nothing new. On an inhalation, we'll take the arms out to the sides and overhead. We're going to interlace our fingers, extending our thumb and our index finger. And then as you exhale, I want you to do a side bend over to the right. Now, just like when we were sitting, on your next inhalation, think about using the left side of your stomach muscles to draw the body back upright. And then as you exhale, side bend over to the left. Inhale, use your right side stomach muscles to draw you upright. And on the following exhalation, open the arms out to the sides, fold forward, and let the head relax all the way down. From here, inhale, fingertips to the floor, the right foot steps back to a lunge. And as we exhale, we'll press the right hand fully down, inhaling the left arm up into a rotated lunge. And today I want you to think about letting that left hand float back behind you a bit. So we're trying to create a little bit of an opening through the left shoulder. From here, we'll take the left hand down, and on an exhalation, we'll step back into downward facing dog. Drawing ourselves forward into plank as we inhale, and back into downward facing dog as we exhale. Inhale forward again. And this time as you exhale, lower all the way down onto your mat, pointing the toes and coming into upward facing dog. And while we're here in up dog, let's focus on pulling those shoulder blades down and together. Think about lifting your sternum up rather than just looking up with your eyes. Deep breath in and full breath out to come into downward facing dog. Again, this time we'll hold our dog pose, taking 5 deep breaths in and out together. Breathing in and out for 1. Breathing in and out for 2. Breathing in and out for 3. Breathing in and out for 4. Breathing in and out for 5. On an inhalation, we're going to reach our right leg up and back. And then as we exhale today, guys, open up to your hip and bend your knee, coming into fire hydrant pose. On your next inhalation, extend that right leg straight. And then as you exhale, pull the knee way in towards your chest, shift the body weight forward to step the right foot in between the hands. Then go ahead and come onto the fingertips and focus on dropping your hips down and reaching your chest forward until you feel a nice opening through that back hip. A lot of times we rush through this part. Deep breath in and full breath out to take a big step forward and fold over, relaxing the head down. Inhale up to stand, reach the arms out to the sides and overhead, interlace your fingers, extending the thumb and the index. Then as you exhale, side bend over to the left first. As you inhale, use the right side of the stomach muscles to draw you upright. And as you exhale, go over towards the right. Inhale, left side engages to draw you upright. And as you exhale, the arms go out to the sides and we fold forward, relaxing the head down. Inhale onto the fingertips, big step back with your left ball of the foot. And then plant that left hand down and reach the right arm up. So again, if possible, we're trying to take the right arm back some, opening up a little bit through that right shoulder. From here on an inhalation, the right hand comes down, and as we exhale, we step back into downward facing dog. Inhale to draw forward into plank. Exhale to go back into downward facing dog. Inhale, draw forward into plank. Exhale, lower all the way down with control. Then point those toes. Inhale, up dog. Again, it's all about the shoulder blades coming down for the sternum to lift up. Deep breath in and full breath out to find your dog pose. This time we'll hold and breathe here. Inhaling and exhaling 1. Inhaling and exhaling 2. Inhaling and exhaling 3. Inhaling and exhaling 4. Inhaling and exhaling 5. On your next inhalation, reach your left leg up and back. Again, we're opening up through that left hip and bending the knee so the heel is pulling towards your seat. Holding here briefly. Inhaling to straighten the left leg, exhaling to step it all the way in between the hands, and then coming up onto the fingertips, dropping the hips down and lifting the chest up until you feel a nice opening through that back hip. Deep breath in and full breath out to come all the way forward, relaxing the head down as the legs extend straight. Inhale all the way up to stand, reaching the arms out to the sides and overhead. This time we'll just press the palms together. And as we exhale, we'll take the hands to prayer and then down to our sides. So bringing our hands onto our hips, turning, let's have you guys turn towards the left so that your right foot is forward. And we'll come into standing forward bend. So if you can't see me, no big deal. We're not going to do too many poses in a row from here. We'll take the elbows behind us and think about opening up through the collarbone. And then on an inhalation, you're going to send your hips forward in space. You'll find that your upper body is bending back just a little bit. Exhale, lead with your chest to fold forward. And then we'll bring our hands down onto the mat. So ideally, the legs stay straight. Don't bend your knees to get your hands more fully down. If your elbows are bent, you want to line your elbows right up above the wrists. If your arms are straight, the wrists and the shoulders will still stay in line. If you have bent elbows, extend the arms straight, and we'll all meet up with a flat spine and the shoulders and the wrists in line. Maintain your flat spine as you bring your hands onto your hips. Maintain your flat spine as you pull the elbows back so that they're pointed up towards the ceiling. Then on an inhalation, come all the way up to stand in one strong piece and take the arms out to the sides, firmly reaching out and pressing down through the hands as you turn the right toes out. From there, we'll come into warrior 2, bending the front knee. So our gaze is over the front hand. A lot of times warrior 2, when you get to a certain level, it feels kind of easy, but I want you to think about activating all of those abdominal muscles we were using when we were down on the floor. So you can start to reinforce this neuromuscular connection in your body where you're using things that you don't have to necessarily be using. So it's very easy to get away with not activating anything in this pose. You can just hang out until the teacher tells you to do something more fun. Let's instead really try to pull those shoulders down, reach out through those fingertips, and simultaneously pull the abdominal muscle complex in and up. On your next inhalation, extend your front leg, and we'll come into triangle pose. So we're going to reach out through that right hand, and then bring it down, drawing it to the shins, the ankle onto the floor, onto a yoga block. And then once you're here, make sure that your torso isn't in front of your legs. You want to have the upper body in line with the lower body. Our gaze ideally is up towards that lifted hand. You can even activate your abdominal muscles in this pose. And let's think specifically about the left side of the stomach muscles engaging to draw you upright. And then let's go ahead and switch our feet so we can do both of those on the other side. Starting in Warrior Two, again, I'm reaching down to the hands, out to the fingers, in and up with the belly. On an inhalation, we extend, and on an exhalation, we lengthen out and down into triangle pose. So sometimes breaking these things down and moving slowly and really focusing on the bare bones parts of the pose rather than doing a long, complicated flow can be really helpful. Again, the top side of the stomach muscles engages to draw us upright. So we're going to turn the left toes to face forward. We're going to turn the right toes to face outwards again. And then we're going to reach both arms overhead, drawing the torso to face over that right leg and bend the right knee for Warrior One. So I like coming into Warrior One from this way because I feel like it really helps open up through the back hip a little more. So this is an Ashtanga style of practice where you're rotating your feet from side to side, and that internal and external rotation of your femur bone is a really important joint action that often gets skipped in many workouts in all different kinds of sports and fitness modalities. So this is a good one to focus on. Let's go ahead and extend that front leg straight. I still have my torso facing forward over that right leg. I'll take the arms out to the sides, pull my hands onto my hips, and then pull my elbows together behind me so I can lift the chest, feeling a nice opening in that back hip before I fold forward for pyramid pose. And your hands can go onto your shin, they can go onto blocks, they can go down onto the floor. The important thing is that the front leg is straight. And then once you're down here, guys, try to rotate your back toes inwards just a little bit more to drop that back hip down. So there's a nice flat space at the low back. If you put a yoga block up here, it wouldn't just slide off onto the floor. Let's bring our hands onto our shin if they're not there already, and you're going to walk your hands up the leg until you feel like you can make a nice kind of straight line through the spine. And then we'll carry on that straight line, reaching the arms overhead before drawing ourselves up to stand. And then from here, we turn the right toes in, we turn the left toes out, we keep rotating, rotating, rotating to find Warrior One on the other side. Extending the front leg, drawing arms out, drawing hands to hips, drawing elbows together, pressing that back hip forward. So you're doing like a little bit of a back bend before folding forward to draw your hands down onto the left leg or onto the floor. The head is heavy. If needed, again, rotate those back toes to face forward a little bit so that back hip becomes a little bit more in line. And then from here, we walk the hands up along the leg. we reach the arms out over the head, and then we come all the way up to stand. So if you're facing away from me, go ahead and rotate the feet forward, switching sides until you're facing me. And then we'll all meet up, feet together, hands together at the front of our mat. On an inhalation, we'll reach the arms overhead. On an exhalation, we'll fold forward, relaxing the head down. From here, on an inhalation, I want you to make a nice flat line with the spine. And then one time, we'll do hands down, hop feet back, and lower all the way down. From here, we'll come into a chest stretch. So we're avoiding a lot of back bending today because sometimes that can irritate the lower back a little bit. So we're doing really kind of small back bends rather than extreme back bends. I'm going to take my right arm out to the side. I still have my left hand right underneath my left shoulder. And then I'm going to press into my left hand to roll onto the right side of the body. My side of my head is relaxed down onto the floor. And I'm going to take my left foot behind my right foot. The further back you place that left foot, the more of an opening you'll feel in the right side of your chest and also the lower back on the left side. Now, if you're feeling stable here, you can take your left hand off the floor, reaching it up towards the ceiling. You can also, if you want to increase the stretch, start to reach that left arm back. When you're ready, replace the left hand, roll onto the front of the body again, and we'll do that on the other side. So the right hand comes in, it's underneath the shoulder. The left arm goes out, it's in line with the shoulder. We press into the right hand to roll onto the left side of the body, relaxing the head down onto the floor, taking the right foot behind the left. Again, the further away it is, the more of a stretch you'll get. And then if you did so on the first side, go ahead and take that right hand off the floor, optionally reaching it back. When you're ready, right hand comes down, front of the body comes down, left hand comes in. So I've got both hands underneath my shoulders, and I'm just gonna send my feet back towards my heels like child's pose. But I won't hold my child's pose. I'll roll myself up to sit. I'll sit down on one side of my feet, and I'll extend my legs forward. Right foot crosses over the left knee. Left arm hugs the right knee to rotate around. So we're doing the hug rather than the elbow press today because I want you to think about pulling your knee and your chest away from each other and kind of a little bit sticking out your butt. So we're getting a nice stretch in our right glute. When you come to face forward, we'll skip the counter twist today. We'll let the other side be our counter twist. So we'll just switch our legs. We'll hug with the right arm and we'll take the left arm around. Coming to face forward again, extending the left leg forward, making sure you have space behind you to lie down and reaching the arms forward. So from here, a little bit more of a Pilates style roll down. So you're gonna think about engaging your abdominals first and kind of making a concave shape with your belly as you reach forward. So it's not like a yoga stretch where we're trying to get our chest towards our legs. We're pulling the abs in, and that's limiting the range of motion that I can move forward. And then maintaining that pulling in of the abdominals, a nice slow roll down through the spine. And then once you're here, knees in towards your chest, you're gonna rock back and forth a few times, and we'll come into a brief shoulder stand. When you're ready to begin to come down, guys, hinge at your hips, trying to draw the feet down towards the floor by your head. Slow roll down through the spine. Think about all of the Pilates musculature we activated during our class as you slowly lower the legs down. And then we'll come into fish, propping ourselves up on the elbows, arching the spine, lifting the chin away from the chest. The head can either be freely hanging here, or you can scoot the elbows forward enough so that the crown of the head is touching the floor. It's up to you. And then finally coming to lie down on the back. The legs can be straight or the knees can be bent. It's really up to you. If you have something handy that you can stick underneath your knees so that they're elevated, you can also set that up. I find that when my lower back is bothering me at the end of my yoga practice, it kind of feels worse a little bit because there's a lot of movement happening there and there's tension that's being released, but then it feels much better after I've finished. So as you're lying here, if it doesn't feel better necessarily, don't be concerned. Just know that you're creating space for change in that area of the body. We'll be here for just a couple minutes. It is 9 now, but we started just a little bit late. And since it's Friday, I'm hoping people have a little extra time. So while we're here, we'll just do a brief scan of the body, starting at the top of your head and working your way down, kind of checking in with each area, making sure each area of the body is relaxed and releasing down into the floor, the neck, the shoulders, the spine, working your way down all the way out towards the tips of the fingers, all the way out towards the tips of the toes. And if we come across any areas that don't really want to let go, just try to breathe directly into those spaces. Imagine that the breath coming in kind of takes over that tense area, and the breath going out is a vehicle to kind of release that tension out of your physical body. Whenever you're ready to, you can start to gently move your fingers and your toes. You can turn the head a bit from side to side, giving yourself a nice big stretch on an inhalation with the arms either going out to the sides or overhead. Shifting the hips and the shoulders a bit. And on an exhalation, drawing the knees in towards your chest. From there, carefully roll over onto one side, and then take your time to work your way up to a seated position. Once you're seated, go ahead and close the eyes. Allow the shoulders to relax down away from the ears. Feel how that creates a lengthening through the spine. That shifts your pelvis down into the floor and gently kind of guides your abdominals to activate a little bit to keep the torso upright. The muscles in the face are relaxed. The breath moves in and out easily without controlling. Just observe it for a few rounds, moving in and going out, moving in and going out. On an inhalation, bring hands to heart center. And on an exhalation, bow forward to conclude your practice. Thanks for coming, guys. I know it's a little bit of a different flow today. I think it's important to kind of change things around sometimes, so it's not always the same. I'll be back on Wednesday. I am teaching my meditation and yoga class tomorrow at 10 with my meditation teacher. So if anybody wants the link for that, let me know. Or if you're planning a beach day and you're going to be in Rockaway and you want to come practice with us, it's in a really lovely house with a nice porch and garden, and we do it outside. So if anybody is ever interested in joining, it's really nice. It's only a block away from the beach, so you can just go to the beach after.
Sounds great. Amazing.
So I'll see you guys soon, and
Thank you.
have a great weekend.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, Sully.